G'day, welcome to another episode of the Pier Review. Now, whereas the last two were delving deep into Tony Abbott's history, this one is a little bit left field, because this one is about, let's just say, some strange and amusing and a little bit misinformed letters to the newspaper, in particular to the Hobart Mercury. We're going to be examining a number of letters, two about the idea of installing light rail in Hobart, two about the salmon aquaculture industry, and one about Anzac Day. So let's go and check out the first of those letters. So the first letter we're going to have a look at is one by a guy called Wayne McDonald. Now, Wayne is a bit of a serial letter writer to the Mercury, writing on a number of topics, but this one sent in February reads,
"We Tasmanians must stand in solidarity together with our government in a consolidated push for a light rail network in Hobart. We don't need to dismantle our historical buildings in order to widen our streets for a light rail. Since day one we have had trams and trains manoeuvring through our busy Hobart streets. Our forefathers didn't make city planning mistakes. Our city is inundated with light rail corridors. Hobart's infrastructure is readily in place to go full steam ahead with a modern light rail network, starting from our city CBD and lines extending in all directions. Macquarie Street is a sufficiently broad street. A single light rail line from our city CBD would swiftly travel straight up the middle of Macquarie Street and provide for all passengers covering our South Hobart region. Other significant routes awaiting light rail runs are Augusta Road branching off our arterial main road Newtown. Another convenient line branching off our Newtown Road along Risdon Road, then straight up the middle of our Brooker Highway median strip, collecting city slickers, shoppers, and CBD-bound passengers, covering vast outskirts along the way. A southward-bound line down the southern outlet embracing Kingston and the Channel areas. Our main road in Sandy Bay is essential, engulfing landmarks, Rest Point Casino, Long Beach and our Taroona community. Our ever-legendary northbound light rail corridor takes in all our spectacular Derwent River views. A light rail for all Hobartians is a big must. Wayne McDonald, Taroona."
So let's go and check out the centre of Hobart, where the light rail he proposes would actually run. This is Macquarie Street, one of the two main arterial roads into central Hobart, the other one being Davey Street just down below. Macquarie Street brings all the traffic into the city from the south and the west. And the last data we have for the daily traffic usage right here is from 2007, when there was 28,700 vehicles a day travelling on this road. This is where Wayne McDonald thinks we should have a light rail. So while the 2007 figure is the latest one specifically for Macquarie Street, there was a traffic survey here on the southern outlet, which is the main feeder from the south of Hobart into Macquarie Street. In 2020 there was a traffic sensor here which recorded 36,745 vehicles a day travelling along the southern outlet. So if you factor in by removing those that went down Proctors Road and adding those that come down Macquarie Street, we can say that in 2026 there's probably close to probably 40,000 vehicles a day going down Macquarie Street. So with 37,000 cars and vehicles a day coming through here where the southern outlet enters Macquarie Street, the 4 lanes of which take them down through into the city, how many would need to be accommodated by Wayne McDonald's proposed light rail if we replace 2 of these lanes with light rail lines. Let's say that there's a single person in each of those 37,000 vehicles travelling down here each day. There probably isn't. Some might have more, but the majority probably are single occupant. So the 4 lanes will be reduced to 2 with Wayne's light rail proposal. So how many do we need to accommodate on light rail to allow for the traffic to flow just as freely? Well, 37,000 people, reduce it by half, that means you've got to accommodate 19,000 people a day on the light rail going down Macquarie Street. And currently the entire Metro Tasmania network's daily passenger numbers for its Hobart network, its Launceston network and its Burnie network is 19,000 people. So we have to take the equivalent of the entire daily Metro current passenger numbers just to make this light rail work. So this is the upper reaches of Macquarie Street, just before it becomes Strickland Avenue. These concrete roads are a unique feature of many of Hobart's inner suburbs. And they've actually got a story to tell, because while Wayne McDonald wants to see light rail introduced into the city, there was once a quite extensive tram network in Hobart, and he does actually allude to that. So this is the southern outlet heading out of Hobart towards Kingston and the Huon Valley. And as you can see, it's a reasonably steep climb. The incline of the southern outlet, believe it or not, is 10%. And yet Wayne McDonald wants his light rail to run up and down this hill. So let's examine the gradients of other railways, both in Tasmania and overseas, and work out how feasible this actually is. So what is the maximum gradient that a light rail can travel on? Normal railways can climb up to around 4.5%, but to be fair to light rail, they can generally get up to 5%, but they are mainly lower. The West Coast Wilderness Railway, which uses the ABT rack and pinion system to climb a gradient from Queenstown to Strahan. So what is that gradient? The gradient that they need the rack and pinion to climb is 6.25%. But even the ABT railway can only make us up a maximum incline of 6.5%. So how does Wayne McDonald think that his light rail is going to get up the southern outlet at 10%? A couple of weeks later, Wayne McDonald was back in the letters page of the Mercury, although, to be fair, he's pretty much got a letter in there every week. But this letter was also along the theme of light rail, and in particular, the demolition of the original Bridgewater Bridge.
The demolition of our 1946 historical Bridgewater Steel Truss vertical lift bridge must immediately stop. The bridge provides for an ideal Eastern Shore expansion of our light rail network. The old steel truss vertical lift Bridgewater Bridge must be used as important infrastructure to connect our Eastern Shore light rail line. Boats and water vessels can still access and enter the upper Derwent River waters to New Norfolk. It's absolute folly to remove that historical 1946 steel truss vertical lift causeway bridge. Demolition of the bridge will achieve nothing and close the door for any rail line to our Eastern Shore communities. How did we get to this conundrum? We have no rail line infrastructure on our new twin-box girder Bridgewater Bridge to accommodate a swift rail line to the Eastern Shore, and now we are frantically demolishing our only historical steel truss vertical lift bridge. Surely this is not a wise move. This is a monumental mistake that should be immediately stopped and scrapped. The whole thing is an astronomical waste of Tasmanian taxpayers' dollars. All our precious forefathers' work and toil down the drain. We must do better than this. We must preserve the old alongside the new. The bridge is a unique historical site full of history and stories for future generations and offshore visitors to explore and study. Destroying such an indispensable cultural landmark site is not proper governance. Our values of transparency, dignity and integrity are in the interest of our Tasmanian people. Wayne McDonald, Taroona.
He wanted this bridge to remain so that boats could pass through it. The real problem with the bridge was that the lift mechanism had failed, and so large boats, yachts etc., could not get through because it simply couldn't be lifted to allow them. And he wanted this rail line to remain to allow for the expansion of the Eastern Shore light rail network. The bulk of the population of Hobart's Eastern Shore do live on this side of the Derwent River, but they live 23.4 kilometres that way. So for a Bellerive, Warrane or Tranmere resident to catch Wayne's expanded Eastern Shore light rail all the way to here and then all the way into the city would involve a 50-kilometre trip each way. Now, Route 75 in Melbourne is claimed to be the longest light rail route in the world, at around 25 kilometres. But there is one in Belgium, I believe, called the Kustdam, which is about 67 kilometres. But Wayne wants little Tasmania, Hobart City, population 200,000, to potentially have the second longest light rail system in the world. Yeah, right. Anyway, looks like it's a bit too late, Wayne. Oh well. What could have been, eh? So our next letter relates to a proposed zip line in the foothills of Mount Wellington.
Over the last 2 weeks, a pair of wedge-tailed eagles have been flying up Ridgeway Road and circling the Ridgetop Fire Trail above the Ridgeway Dam and over Waterworks Park Valley. The irony of this is that a large zip line with a 35-metre tower is currently being considered for public land consent by the City of Hobart. This is required prior to any further development application lodgement by the business TasZip. The high tower on top of Ridgetop Fire Trail would have 1.1 kilometre cables in one long catenary, ending near the Waterworks Park entrance. The zip line would cross Ridgeway Road at the bottom of the hill where traffic can be going its fastest. Zip liners would be travelling at up to 100 kilometers an hour over the proposed amusement ride. Audio noise Google searches of zip lines reveal tourists screaming with fear and excitement. The communities of Ridgeway, Waterworks Road and Turnip Fields are generally opposed to this type of development. It would potentially cause traffic problems with tourist minibuses and a high-risk driver distraction on the Ridgeway Road. There are no other zipline amusement rides in Australia or New Zealand that cross a public commuter road. Particularly WA appears to view such a proposition as too unsafe. A legal liability for the zipline business, problems with insurance and the local council liability if the business goes bankrupt. The Tasmanian Vehicle and Traffic Act 1999 has provisions to protect driver and vehicle safety, particularly with business setting up on public roads. Such a large proposal, I understand, would normally be referred to the Commissioner of Police, Road Safety, and WorkSafe Tasmania, Plant Registration AS 3533.1 Class 3 Amusement Device. In both Land Consent and Development Application Assessment, the Hobart City Council has to earnestly consider its own bushland reserve plans and long-term commitment to public land. Part of this knowledge base includes biodiversity maps where this area is a hotspot for particularly threatened species such as these fantastic birds. John Sandell. Ridgeway.
So this is Ridgeway on the foothills of Mount Wellington, where he writes that the wedge-tailed eagles are soaring above. While the Ridgeway zipline proposal is not listed on the TasZip webpage, only the previous Mount Wellington one that was knocked back, it is suggested that it would run from here on Chimney Pot Hill Road down to the Waterworks Reserve here. So no, that's not a zip line. That's a power line. So with these two high tension transmission lines running from Ridgeway down across where the zip line is proposed to go, I'm thinking that the zip line is perhaps not the biggest threat to the eagles. So, with no evidence of any eagle or birds ever being injured by zip lines, but plenty of evidence that eagles are injured by transmission power lines, and the fact that John opens his letter with the mention of the eagles and closes his letter with the mention of the eagles, but the vast bulk of his letter has got nothing to do with eagles. It's got to do with traffic, noise, disruption and safety. We might actually come to the conclusion that the eagles are a little bit of a furphy and that John is a little bit of a NIMBY. Well, I must say that it took longer to tell those stories of two light rail letters and one about eagles and zip lines than I envisaged. So I think we'll need to save the salmon letters and the Anzac Day one for part 2 of the peer review of dumb letters. So if you enjoyed part 1, please click like, please subscribe, hit me up in the comments below, maybe write me a dumb letter, and we'll see you again somewhere on a pier. Thanks for watching.